These players once stood on the diamond as kings, raking in millions with every pitch, swing, and home run. Jack Clark's power at the plate, Curt Schilling's legendary postseason performances, Pete Rose's relentless hustle games were etched into the history of Major League Baseball. But off the field, a very different game was unfolding. For some, bad investments and lavish lifestyles drained their fortunes faster than their pitching arms could recover.
Did you bet on baseball?
Yes, I did, and that was my mistake, not coming clean a lot earlier.
For others, scandals like betting on games and mismanagement threw them into financial ruin. In this video, we will uncover the stories of MLB stars who went broke, like Harmon Killebrew, Gaylord Perry, Weise, and Lenny Dykstra. How did these legends, who earned millions at the peak of their careers, end up struggling to make ends meet? The answers will surprise you. So without much ado, let's start with Jack Clark. His rise in Major League Baseball was as powerful as his swing, a four-time All-Star whose career peaked in the spotlight. Bursting onto the scene in the late 1970s with the San Francisco Giants, Clark quickly established himself as a force to be reckoned with. By the 1980s, he was a household name, playing for iconic teams like the St. Louis Cardinals, New York Yankees, and Boston Red Sox. His million-dollar contracts were the stuff of envy, but as it turns out, so were his spending habits. Now, here's where the plot thickens. Clark wasn't just hitting home runs on the field, he was swinging for the fences in his spending too. Over 18 luxury cars filled his garage, Porsches, Ferraris, you name it. It's as if he believed he could drive a different car for every inning of a doubleheader. Lavish homes, risky investments, and a drag racing team that burned through his money faster than his cars burned rubber all contributed to his spiraling finances. So, how does someone who inked an $8 million contract with the Yankees in 1987 end up filing for bankruptcy just a few years later? Lack of foresight and a love for living large, that's how. By 1992, Clark was drowning in debt, $11 million of it, shocking fans who once cheered him as an all-star hero. Even post-MLB, Clark couldn't find his footing. Broadcasting gigs and failed ventures offered little relief, leaving him trapped in the cycle of financial missteps. The lesson? Talent and fame can only take you so far if your wallet has more holes than a catcher's mitt. But while Clark's financial woes were largely self-inflicted, the next player's tale takes a different turn, showing how even the most cautious athletes can find themselves victims of financial schemes that hit harder than any fastball ever could. Scott Air. Drafted by the Chicago White Sox in 1991, Air didn't just play baseball, he thrived. With his trusty left arm, he became a go-to name for teams like the Blue Jays, Giants, Cubs, and Phillies. But it was his time in Philadelphia that cemented his legacy. In 2008, as the Phillies charged to their first World Series win in 28 years, Air shone under the pressure, proving why he was the bullpen's secret weapon. Million-dollar contracts rolled in, and Air seemed to be set for life, on the field and off. But life, as we know, loves a curveball. Then came the Stanford Ponzi scheme, a financial black hole that didn't just target big investors, but also athletes like Air. Picture this. One day, your savings promise high returns. The next, they vanish faster than a 95-mile fastball. In 2009, when Alan Stanford's scheme unraveled, Air discovered his financial portfolio was more fiction than fact. Millions gone. The devastation wasn't just about lost cash, it was about trust shattered and future plans erased. How do you rebuild when your nest egg gets scrambled? To date, Air's story has always been used as a wake-up call. Why? Young and flush with wealth athletes often walk into financial traps disguised as golden opportunities that end up milking them dry. However, did Air deserve this? No. But does his experience highlight why athletes need solid financial literacy? Absolutely. But not every story ends on a high note. For the next player, his post-baseball life spiraled into a tale of ambition gone awry. Lenny Dykstra. Lenny's post-retirement life reads like a cautionary tale, wrapped in extravagance and sprinkled with wild missteps. The former MLB star, once earning millions and basking in fan adoration, traded his baseball uniform for business ventures, and well, that was the genesis of his life's chaos. Dykstra's first swing at entrepreneurship was a chain of car washes in sunny California. A perfect match, you'd assume, right? Wrong. The business quickly ran out of gas, bogged down by debts and operational chaos. Imagine scrubbing car windows one day and realizing you're $30 million in the hole the next. Not exactly a home run, but Lenny wasn't done. Then came The Players Club, a high-end magazine for athletes designed to serve up financial advice. The irony, the project hemorrhaged money faster than you can say luxury office parties. Lavish spending on swanky spaces and over-the-top events turned the publication into a financial black hole. By its untimely end, The Players Club left behind a trail of unpaid bills and puzzled employees who were probably Googling how to spot a sinking ship. And then there was was the mansion. Dykstra snagged Wayne Gretzky's luxurious Thousand Oaks estate because why not? But maintaining it was like trying to keep a Ferrari running on a bicycle budget. After the 2008 housing market crash, the mansion went into foreclosure. Guess the Great One scored the real win by selling it off. By 2009, bankruptcy loomed, with debts soaring past $31 million. If that wasn't enough, legal troubles sealed his fate. Grand theft auto, filing false financial statements, and a lifestyle that screamed, living beyond my means. But truth be told, Dykstra's story is one part comedy, one part tragedy, and 100% proof that even millionaires can strike out when swinging for the fences. If Lenny Dykstra's post-baseball life was a wild roller coaster of failed ventures and financial implosions, our next story proves that even the sharpest players can stumble when the game shifts from the field to the boardroom. Curt Schilling. Curt wasn't just a pitcher, he was a force of nature. A kid from Anchorage, Alaska, with a fastball that could humble the best hitters, Schilling started his MLB journey with the Boston Red Sox in 1986. But it wasn't until he joined the Phillies that he became a household name. In 1993, Schilling pitched the Phillies to the World Series, a moment that announced loud and clear, "This guy is the real deal." Fast forward to 2001, Schilling was now with the Arizona Diamondbacks, and he was writing history. Partnered with Randy Johnson, the two became baseball's Batman and Robin, clinching the Diamondbacks' first World Series title. Schilling even took home the MVP. And then, the bloody shock happened. In 2004, pitching through a gruesome ankle injury, Schilling led the Red Sox to a miraculous victory, breaking an 86-year championship drought. A bloody sock, a shattered curse. Hollywood couldn't have written it better. But Schilling's story didn't end on the diamond. No, he had a new dream, creating the next big thing in video games. So he birthed the 38 Studios, a venture into gaming that Schilling funded with his own millions. And now, almost as you'd expect, the venture didn't end with confetti and champagne. In 2012, the company released Kingdoms of Amalur: Reckoning. After the release, critics liked it, but for the gamers, not enough of them liked it, which meant the worst. And here's what happened next. Revenues fell short, and a $75 million loan guarantee from Rhode Island loomed large. By May, 38 Studios filed for bankruptcy, leaving Schilling financially flattened. From pitching gems to lawsuits and bankruptcy hearings, his dream became a nightmare. But for a guy who conquered curses and the World Series, maybe the game isn't over just yet. After all, who says legends don't get second innings? While Schilling's downfall was a high-stakes gamble in the gaming industry, the next story unfolds on an entirely different battlefield, one where personal demons, not business ventures, would prove to be his most formidable opponent. Steve Howe. Steve's journey in Major League Baseball reads like a gripping drama, complete with dazzling highs and gut-wrenching lows. Born in 1958 in Pontiac, Michigan, Howe's early days on the diamond were the stuff of legends. With a rocket arm and nerves of steel, he dominated at the University of Michigan, earning a first-round draft pick by the Los Angeles Dodgers in 1979. It seemed Howe's trajectory was set for superstardom, but as they say, life has a wicked curveball. In 1980, Howe burst onto the MLB scene with a rookie season so impressive, he snagged the National League Rookie of the Year award. His fastball was pure fire, and so was his composure, cool as ice. On the field, he was a hero. Off the field, let's just say his demons played in a league of their own. By 1983, cocaine had already benched him with his first suspension. It was a strike that marked the beginning of a self-destructive cycle. Howe's talent remained undeniable, but his struggles with substance abuse seemed to match his velocity on the mound. Fast and hard. Over his career, he racked up 7 suspensions, more than any other MLB player at the time. Imagine trying to sign a long-term contract with that record. Not only did the bans tarnish his reputation, but they also drained his bank account. Missed games meant missed paychecks, and the champagne lifestyle of a professional athlete doesn't come cheap. However, by 1992, things had somehow changed for the better. The New York Yankees offered him a second chance, and for a while, it seemed Howe had turned the corner. But old habits die hard. By 1996, another suspension, this time for alcohol, which underscored the vicious cycle. As his career dwindled, so did his finances, leaving him bankrupt and battling with a reality far removed from his days of glory. But not all financial missteps in baseball's history involve substance abuse. Some stem from decisions made long after the final pitch, just like the next player. Rollie fingers. His name alone conjures images of fastballs, World Series glory, and that unforgettable waxed mustache, a facial hair masterpiece that could probably qualify for Cooperstown on its own. But while his Hall of Fame career was the stuff of baseball legend, Fingers' post-retirement years tell a very different story. During his playing days, Fingers wasn't just a pitcher, he was a pitch-perfect money magnet, earning millions and living the dream. Mansions, luxury cars, and more. It was a lifestyle that screamed success, louder than the crowd at a Game 7. Yet, as it turns out, his financial playbook was more swing and miss than a home run. And the culprit? A car dealership. Yes, Fingers decided his post-baseball legacy wouldn't just be about sliders and saves, and that it would involve selling sedans. Unfortunately, his foray into the auto industry wasn't exactly a grand slam. The 1980s weren't kind to Fingers' dealership, which struggled against economic slumps and fierce competition. It eventually skidded into financial ruin, leaving him in a jam tighter than his ERA during his Cy Young season. As the debts piled up, Fingers' mustache seemed to stand tall as the only thing he could still keep intact. By 1989, Fingers filed for bankruptcy. It was a shocking twist for fans who thought the man with 341 saves had his life saved too. But here's where the comeback began. Embracing his signature mustache, he turned it into a brand, signing autographs and cashing in on nostalgia. Because let's be honest, how many people can say their facial hair paid the bills? Rollie Fingers' story isn't just about sports or money, it's about resilience. And maybe, just maybe, about not putting all your savings into cars when you're famous for strikes. While Fingers turned his mustache into a lifeline and found a way to rise from financial ashes, this next player's post-baseball saga proves that sometimes bouncing back isn't just about resilience, it's about turning the page after the most painful chapters. Bill Buckner. Bill's life after baseball reads like a script packed with plot twists, triumphs, and a few heartbreaking errors. Remember the infamous 1986 World Series mishap where a routine ground ball slipped through Buckner's legs? Well, apparently, that single moment haunted him like a bad haircut in high school photos. But baseball was just Act 1. Post-retirement in 1990, Buckner ventured into business, hoping to hit another home run, but it wasn't exactly a grand slam. First up, he decided to try real estate. In the early 90s, Buckner bet big on the booming property market, expecting steady hits. Instead, he got caught in an economic curveball as the market dipped. Suddenly, his investments felt more like strikeouts than safe bets. Ever heard the phrase, location, location, location? Turns out, timing's just as important. Next came the automotive industry. Buckner opened a chain of car dealerships, banking on his fame to drive sales. Initially, it worked. Seriously, who wouldn't want to buy a car from a baseball legend? But fierce competition and mounting overheads quickly turned the venture into a financial lemon. Running dealerships proved tougher than stealing bases. Adding to his woes was the shadow of that 1986 era. The relentless media and public criticism didn't just sting, it squeezed. Financially, emotionally, you name it. Trying to uphold a public image while juggling businesses was like trying to catch a knuckleball blindfolded. But here's the twist. Buckner didn't fold. He found redemption as a coach and mentor, imparting wisdom to younger players. His resilience was a reflection of the grit that made him a baseball legend in the first place. Because if there's one thing Buckner knew, it's this. Sometimes, life's grounders can lead to unexpected wins. While Buckner's post-baseball journey was a tale of resilience and reinvention, another player's story veers into a high-stakes gamble where the stakes weren't just his finances, but his very legacy. Pete Rose. Once baseball's golden boy, earning millions as a top-tier player, Rose was destined for greatness, or so we thought. But his Achilles heel wasn't on the field, it was at the betting table. Who knew that sliding into second base was less risky than sliding chips across the felt? In his prime, Rose raked in massive contracts and endorsement deals, living the high life while charming America with his record-breaking career. Yet, beneath the surface, a gambling habit brewed. What began as a hobby turned into a full-blown addiction, consuming not just his bankroll, but his reputation. By 1989, the game had changed, literally. Major League Baseball's investigation revealed Rose was betting on games, including his own team, the Cincinnati Reds. Talk about stacking the deck against yourself. The fallout was catastrophic. He earned himself a lifetime ban from baseball, lost his managerial position, and, cruelest of all, a one-way ticket out of Hall of Fame contention. Imagine hitting over 4,000 career hits but striking out in the game of legacy. As the income streams dried up, Rose's gambling debts mounted. At the same time, his legal troubles weren't far behind. In 1990, he served 5 months in prison for tax evasion. Contrary to what you'd expect from a player of his caliber, the prison time wasn't exactly the home run retirement plan. Desperate to make ends meet, Rose resorted to autograph signings and public appearances, but shaking hands for $20 a pop hardly compares to million-dollar paychecks. Even his 2004 autobiography, My Prison Without Bars, felt more like a final inning rally than a game changer. Today, Rose keeps swinging, signing autographs, sharing stories, and holding on to the remnants of a career that should have been untouchable. And while his finances remain a cautionary tale, one thing's for sure: betting against Pete Rose to stay in the spotlight. It is certainly bad odds. While Pete Rose's financial downfall was a self-inflicted wound fueled by gambling, the next player on this list faced a different challenge altogether, a post-retirement era that tested not only his wallet, but his ability to adapt to life beyond the ballpark. Harmon Killebrew. Harmon faced a post-retirement journey that was anything but a home run. After retiring in 1975, Killebrew, the Minnesota Twins slugger with 573 career home runs, swapped the diamond for a daunting new opponent: financial stability. In his era, athletes didn't pocket today's multi-million-dollar contracts or splashy endorsements. For Killebrew, life after baseball was a curveball he couldn't quite hit out of the park. Eager to find his footing, Killebrew ventured into business with the optimism of a rookie on opening day. His first pitch, a car dealership. It seemed a no-brainer for a man who thrived on fast pitches, but in the cutthroat automobile industry, Killebrew quickly found himself striking out. The dealership folded, leaving him with financial bruises no amount of pine tar could fix. Next, he gambled on real estate during the boom of the 70s and 80s. How hard could it be, he might have thought. After all, he'd conquered major league pitchers. But the volatile market wasn't forgiving to a novice, and several underperforming investments only added to his woes. If only home runs translated to housing profits. On the other hand, public appearances and autograph signings provided some relief. But let's be honest, signing baseballs doesn't exactly rake in mansion-level money. And while today's athletes have financial planners on speed dial, Killebrew's era lacked such resources. Who needs a retirement plan when you're crushing fastballs, right? Well, Killebrew's struggles showed otherwise. Through it all, Killebrew's dedication to the sport shone brighter than stadium lights. A Hall of Fame induction in 1984 cemented his baseball legacy, proving you can be down financially but remain rich in character. While Harmon Killebrew's journey proved that even a baseball legend can struggle to adjust to life beyond the diamond, he was far from the only one to face such challenges. Tony Gwyn. Tony has always been a name that echoes through the halls of baseball glory. Yet behind the golden glow of his MLB career lies a story that's both sobering and heart-wrenching. How does a man who conquered the diamond find himself entangled in the web of financial woes? Well, grab your peanuts and Cracker Jack, because this story has its fair share of spoils. After hanging up his boots, Gwyn stepped into the entrepreneurial batter's box with high hopes. A sports bar, a restaurant, they all seemed like a perfect idea. But as any small business owner will tell you, the hospitality industry can be as unforgiving as a fastball to the ribs. Managing day-to-day operations proved more demanding than dodging a Randy Johnson slider, and the ventures, promising at first, soon stumbled like a rookie on ice. And then there was the cruel wild card: Gwyn's health. Battling cancer and enduring grueling medical treatments, his focus understandably shifted from balancing budgets to fighting for his life. And the mounting medical bills? Think of them as a double-header against your finances. A tough game to win. But wait, there's more. Adjusting to post-MLB life isn't just about retiring jerseys, it's about restructuring lives. Gwyn, like many athletes, struggled to downshift from the high-octane world of pro sports to the quieter lanes of retirement. His lifestyle, still MVP level, began draining his savings like a leaky dugout. Here's the kicker though, Gwyn had no solid estate plan. Gwyn, who once dominated every pitch, found himself outpaced by financial planning complexities. And well, obviously that's a tough pill, isn't it? So, it became apparent that even legends can be blindsided. But more importantly, his story serves as a gentle reminder that no matter your field, your legacy deserves a game plan. But Gwyn wasn't the only baseball legend to navigate life's curveballs after the spotlight faded. The next player is a man whose journey from the pinnacle of pitching to the depths of financial and legal trouble is nothing short of jaw-dropping. Denny Mlan. Born in Markham, Illinois, he dazzled the MLB from his debut with the Detroit Tigers in 1963, quickly proving he was a force to be reckoned with. In 1968, Mlan achieved what many thought was unthinkable. He won 31 games in a single season, a record that still stands today. This incredible feat earned him the Cy Young Award and the American League MVP, cementing his place as one of the game's all-time greats. But as with many fairy tales, the story didn't end happily ever after. While McLean's arm was earning him accolades, his off-field behavior was a different story. He lived large, really large. Gambling, extravagant spending, and a fast-paced lifestyle were as much a part of his persona as his 100-mepha fastball. But as they say, what goes up must come down. And McLean's dramatic fall from grace, in 1970, he was suspended for his involvement in a bookmaking scandal. Talk about pitching a curveball to your career, right? Despite earning millions, McLean's financial choices were, let's just say, questionable. He made a bet on a meatpacking company that quickly went rotten, leaving him deep in debt. By the 1980s, McLean declared bankruptcy, a far cry from the Cy Young winning sensation he once was. While McLean's story highlights the sharp curve of a career derailed by personal missteps, another player's post-baseball journey shows a different kind of struggle, one where even a legendary pitcher couldn't escape the unpredictable bounces of life after sports. Gaylord Perry. After calling it quits in 1983, Gaylord Perry, one of baseball's most memorable pitchers, set out to make his mark in the world of agriculture. But this new venture, a peanut farm in Martin County, North Carolina, quickly turned into a tale about the unpredictable nature of life after sports. With visions of a steady income rolling in from crops, Perry figured his transition from the baseball field to farming would be a great catch. After all, how hard could it be? On the mound, he controlled every pitch and every outcome, but the farm, not so much. Nature, as Perry soon learned, had other plans: droughts, floods, and everything in between. His peanut crops didn't stand a chance, and soon neither did his finances. A baseball legend on the field, Perry found himself out of his league in the farming world. First, crop management soon proved to be overwhelming. Secondly, he faced yet another dead end: market fluctuations. For this one, it was a nightmare. And soon, as his debts grew, Perry's financial situation took a nosedive, eventually leading to bankruptcy in 1986. But wait, there's more. Because, as it turns out, Perry wasn't just struggling with crops. In 1990, he was convicted of federal mail fraud after inflating the value of his peanuts to defraud a bank. A sentence of 3 years of probation followed, further complicating an already messy post-baseball life. Despite the setbacks, Perry's resilience remained intact. He kept attending baseball events, reminding everyone that even after the fall, the legend of Gaylord Perry wasn't going anywhere. But one thing is for sure, not even Hall of Fame pitchers are immune to striking out in life's later innings. As Gaylord Perry's post-baseball life unfolded with a series of unexpected strikes, another former baseball star would face his financial challenges, showing just how quickly a once promising future can take a turn for the worse. Cecil Fielder. Cecil's story proves how quickly fortunes can turn, especially when you're living large and gambling away your future. At the height of his career, Fielder was a household name, celebrated for his monstrous power at the plate. Who could forget his 51 home run season? But behind the scenes, a different kind of game was playing out, one of risky investments and high-stakes gambling. Talk about taking a hit. However, over time, Fielder's earnings soared into the tens of millions. But what was his financial strategy? Not so much. With a lack of financial literacy and a penchant for the casino, Fielder made investments that would make even the most optimistic gambler cringe. Real estate deals that seemed too good to be true were, well, too good to be true. And as for his gambling habits, let's just say he wasn't betting on the house to win. As the debts piled up, Fielder's financial empire began to crumble. Tax bills, unpaid for years, came knocking with a vengeance. And if there's one thing we can all agree on, the IRS doesn't play around, and neither does the stress of legal battles. Fielder's personal life suffered too, with strained relationships and mounting pressure from all sides. Suddenly, the life of the party became that of a guy desperately trying to find the exit. But wait, it's not all bad news. After hitting rock bottom, Fielder turned things around. Now, he's sharing his story, educating others about the importance of financial literacy, because, as Fielder knows, you can't just hit a home run every time life throws you a pitch. And, hey, maybe next time, he'll bet on something with better odds. As Fielder's story demonstrates, the transition from fame to financial struggle can be swift and harsh. Similarly, another sports icon experienced his own share of challenges off the field, where his financial strategies fell victim to the same pitfalls. Rick Weise. Born on September 13, 1945, in Jackson, Michigan, Weise had baseball in his blood from the get-go. By 1963, his talent on the mound was so undeniable that the Philadelphia Phillies drafted him, setting the stage for a career filled with highlights. Weise quickly made a name for himself, but it was June 23, 1971, that cemented his place in MLB history. Facing the Cincinnati Reds, he didn't just throw a no-hitter, he hit 2 home runs in the same game. Can you imagine that? A pitcher out-slugging hitters. This jaw-dropping performance earned Weise legendary status, proving he wasn't just any pitcher, he was an all-star in the making. But the spotlight wasn't always kind. After his time with the Phillies, Weise was traded to the St. Louis Cardinals, where he had another stellar year and snagged a second all-star appearance in 1973. Better yet, his ability to keep calm under pressure made him a trusted asset, and the Boston Red Sox were lucky to have him in their rotation as well. But here's the kicker. Despite all the success on the mound, off the field, Weise's game plan hit some serious bumps. Like many athletes, he faced a tough transition from baseball to life after the game. His retirement wasn't filled with easy wins. Instead, it was marked by financial setbacks. Weise dove into investments that seemed like sure things, but turned out to be more like bad pitches. The lure of quick riches often blindsides even the sharpest, and sadly, it drained his earnings faster than a fastball down the middle. Who knew a no-hitter could turn into a financial strikeout? While Rick Weise's financial troubles were the result of misguided investments, another MLB's icon downfall was shaped by a combination of poor decisions and legal entanglements, creating a different kind of struggle after the game. Wally Backman. Wall's story is a reminder that even the brightest stars can fall from grace. Once a key player for the New York Mets, helping secure their iconic 1986 World Series victory, Backman's career was on top of the world. But as any former baseball player will tell you, the game isn't always as kind after the final pitch. You'd think that playing for a team that won a World Series would be a ticket to riches, right? Well, for Backman, the financial scoreboard told a different story. Despite his success, he struggled with managing the money that came with it. A life of luxury was tempting, but poor financial decisions made it all too easy to go from grand slam to strikeout. Backman didn't help his situation with a series of failed ventures after hanging up his glove. First up, a car dealership. Talk about a drive for disaster. The dealership couldn't make a profit, and the mounting debt quickly shifted him into the red. Then came the restaurant. Let's just say it wasn't serving up success, and the losses piled on faster than you can say, "Check, please." To make matters worse, his legal issues compounded the mess. Charges ranging from domestic violence to DUI racked up costly legal fees, sinking him deeper into financial trouble. Imagine being in the dugout, hoping for a comeback, but instead, the game's over before you even get a chance to swing. Despite everything, Backman's passion for baseball kept him in the game, coaching minor league teams and even managing the Arizona Diamondbacks affiliate. But his past? It was a fastball he couldn't avoid. His hiring was short-lived, and when his financial and legal baggage surfaced, it cost him the job. And that was equivalent to being caught in a tough spot. If you enjoyed watching this video, check out our other awesome